Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be comparing two sheer skin tints for you. So today I've got the Ilia Super Serum Skin Tint and the new MAC Studio Radiance Face and Body. You guys loved the little chart that I did for one of my previous skin tint video, so I'll also be talking through that as well. So let's just get started with some shade matching and then we'll get right into it. So this is C4 and I'm quickly going to show you what C5 looks like on my skin. C4 and C5. Now C5 just looks a little bit warmer than my actual skin tone, and you can kind of see that now as the foundation is setting. So it's just a little bit too warm, so definitely C5 is not the shade for me. I can wear C4, as you can see here. That's a pretty good match. Now let's take a look at the Ilia swatches. Okay, now I'm going to go with shade 11. And then I'm going to go with 11.5 and I'm going to put it right here so you can see the difference. Did you just see how it's adjusting to my skin tone? Did you see that? So shade 11 looked very, very light when I first applied it. Now I've left it on my skin for a little bit and it has actually adjusted to my skin tone where it doesn't look so white anymore. It's starting to blend into my skin. I really, really love that about the skin tint. I forgot that I had shade 10, so I'm going to put shade 10 right here. This is a shade that when I was trying to figure out online what shade to get with online matching, this is the shade that always was being referred to me. So that looks very, very light at first application, but we saw how this kind of blends into the skin. So we'll wait and see what this turns into. And it's already turning. Look at that. Wow, how interesting. And then the last shade I have is 12.75. 12.75. Right here. Alright, so they have all adjusted to my skin tone. Can you see that? So when I first applied them, they look really stark, really pale. However, as I've left this on my skin, it has absolutely adjusted to my skin tone. I think that's really, really amazing. And what that tells me is that even if you pick up a shade that's a bit wrong for you, it will adjust to your skin tone and you'll be able to get use out of it. So I really enjoy that about the skin tint. So I can wear shade 11. You can see that the shade 11 is actually a really good match for me. So this is right here, shade 11. I can definitely wear that. Not 11.5. So 11.5 is definitely looking a little bit pale. And then I can also wear shade 10, which with initial application was horrifying. However, now that it is adjusted to my skin tone, I can totally wear shade 10 and I can also wear 12.75. Okay, so I have color corrected just with my Bobbi Brown color corrector in the shade Peach. And I'm going to go in with C3 from MAC. So this is shade C3. As you can see, perhaps it's a little bit light on me, but the reason why I'm using C3 is because MAC actually oxidizes. And so going one shade lighter works for me. So ideally, I would be a C4. Although C4 doesn't have the right undertone, C3 has that nice yellowy olive undertone. So the undertone for C3 is much better for me than C4. However, as this foundation oxidizes, I definitely prefer C3. So I'm going to go ahead and blend this out. So it feels very nice and almost cooling to the skin. It's a very hydrating formula, which we're here in winter in New Zealand. So formulas like these are a lifesaver, to be honest. I'm just going to apply some more. I do want to point out that this is a sheer foundation, right? So for example, I have a natural darkness around my mouth area. I can't really cover that with this foundation, and that's because it's just very, very sheer. So this is my second layer, just kind of applying this, and you can see that it really just shears out. Like it's not going to cover that pigmentation, which is okay, but I want you to know that in case you have a lot of hyperpigmentation on your skin and you're looking to cover it, MAC is not going to be the product for you because it's just going to be too sheer. It's really not going to give you any coverage. Now I'm going to go in with shade 10 for Ilia on the other side. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and apply Ilia here. It looks so scary in the beginning, this one. It just looks so pale. And then, of course, it will adjust to my skin tone. Okay, so I'm just going to blend this out with the same foundation brush. I have given this a wipe. Now, I think you'll be able to tell the difference between the two sides. The Ilia one definitely feels slightly more oily and it's more dewy than MAC. If you like a dewy finish, but you don't want to feel slightly greasy or slightly oily, then go with the MAC, because the Ilia definitely has a bit of that oil feel and the oil finish, which if you have dry skin, I think you might really enjoy. Now, when applying the Ilia, I just want to give you a little tip that sometimes this formula can leave some streaks. So just make sure you kind of check your face properly and, you know, kind of make sure there are no streaks and you've kind of smoothed everything over. Whereas for the MAC, that doesn't generally happen on the MAC side for me. Also, finger application with both these products works really well as well. Both the MAC, the Ilia, if you just want to apply it and work it in with your fingers, it works beautifully. Now, shade 10 is starting to adjust to my skin tone, so it's not looking so light anymore. What I will say with the Ilia is that irrespective of the shades that I've tried, all these shades give me a slight white cast. It's very minimal, but it's there. And I don't know if you can see that. Like, this is the MAC one with no SPF. And then this is the Ilia one with the SPF. And I feel like there's just a little bit of that white cast. I think that's because of the very high SPF in this product. So that is something to keep in mind. In terms of coverage, Ilia has a little bit more coverage than the MAC. In terms of dewiness, Ilia is a little bit more dewy than the MAC. I've just done my eyes and I've added a lip color on. Now let's go in with some bronzer. So I'm going to pick up my Bobbi Brown bronzer. I just want a very sheer bronzer application. So I'm going to go with the Shikahodo brush number 4, T4. Just going to pop some, and I'm going to go on the MAC side first because it's less dewy than the Ilia side. And just going to tap and blend. Now, when I've tried powder products on top of the MAC side, I really haven't had much issue. Although the MAC side looks a little bit dewy, it does set down, so you don't really feel much tackiness. It does set down, and so applying powder products on top of the MAC hasn't given me any issues. And I'm gonna do the same with the Ilia side. Now the Ilia side is more dewy, so you have to be just a little bit careful when applying powder products, but as you can see, it doesn't catch, it doesn't look patchy, nothing like that. Of course, this formulation is very good as well. And so there's that. But overall, I haven't really had many issues on the Ilia side either. So the powder bronzer has applied nicely on top of the Ilia side as well. The MAC, the Ilia. Now I'm going to apply some cream blush, and I'm going to go with the M Cosmetics blush in the shade Passion. Oh my god, I love this color, and you can see it matches so well with my lip color as well. We'll go on the MAC side first. Oh my god, that is so pretty. This is a perfect fall shade, I reckon. I mean, summer and fall, I think it's going to be stunning. And now I'm going to apply the same amount. So I've just applied this with my finger, and I haven't applied it everywhere. I've just kept it right here. And I'm going to do the same on this side. The interesting thing between these two formulations, the Ilia and the MAC, is that I find that MAC has a slightly firming effect to the skin. Like when I touch my skin on the MAC side, it just feels a little bit firm, whereas the Ilia just feels like skin. It's quite interesting. So I have tried both powder blushes and cream blushes on both sides. With the Ilia, you have to be just a little bit careful, but other than that, everything else has blended and applied beautifully. So I haven't had any problems layering products on top either of these formulas. For highlighter, I'm going to pick up Charlotte Tilbury Magic Star highlighter, and this is quite intense. I'm just going to use a small amount with my Van Gogh brush number 2. So this is a powder highlighter, and you'll be able to see that on both of these. Oh my god, that's beautiful. And I applied such a small amount. Let me take a little bit more. The highlighter in itself is really, really beautiful, but with powder highlighters, I haven't noticed that either the Ilia or the MAC will have a patchy application or anything like that. So that looks really, really beautiful. And this, what I love about this highlighter, it really gives a bit of that wet, glowy look to the cheek. And you really don't need a lot, just a teeny tiny amount. Oh my god, that is so pretty. You see that? Now this is the full face of makeup. This is MAC. And Ilia. First of all, I have really, really loved both of these products. They have such a beautiful finish on the skin. This is going to be quite of a difficult comparison video because there really isn't a standout yes or a standout no. Both are really, really amazing. So let's have a look at this. So of course the MAC Studio Radiance Face and Body that I've tried is the new version that got released this year, and the Ilia Super Serum Skin Tint SPF40. In terms of cost, MAC is definitely a lot cheaper than Ilia. You can see if you break it down per ml, you're paying 70 cents for MAC, whereas $1.60 per ml for Ilia. So both the upfront cost as well as per ml is cheaper with MAC. Now in terms of shades, both of them have a whopping 30 shades, which is amazing. That just increases the likelihood that you're going to get a good match when a brand has a lot of shades. What I love about the Ilia is that it adjusts to your skin tone. That is amazing. So that's a big plus for Ilia, I think. Then in terms of coverage, MAC has a little bit less coverage than Ilia. So MAC is truly a sheer skin tint, and maybe you can take it up to light coverage, but really that is it. You can't really conceal any pimple marks or acne marks or hyperpigmentation with MAC. In terms of Ilia, you could conceal a little bit because I think it has light plus coverage. It's not up to medium, but it's not fully sheer. Even with my pigmentation that's around my mouth, both these cannot cover that completely. I'm okay with that, but I just wanted to let you know that if you're buying these and you're thinking your hyperpigmentation, maybe concealed with these products, it won't happen. You're going to need an additional concealer. The finish for both is stunning. I love the very hydrating finish that I get from the MAC. The minute I put it on, it feels very hydrating, which if you have dry skin, I think you will really enjoy that. And of course, if you're like me, if you're heading into winter and your skin dries out a little bit, I think MAC is really, really lovely. It also has that glowy, radiant finish. So what I love about the MAC is, yes, it's radiant, but it doesn't have shimmer. It doesn't enhance texture or anything like that on my face. For Ilia, gorgeous, gorgeous dewy finish. So if you're after a beautifully dewy skin tint, I think you will love the Ilia. It is very, very dewy in comparison to the MAC. And the dewy finish also looks really natural, really healthy. It doesn't look greasy on the skin, which is amazing. Ilia also has a bit of an oily finish, and I believe that probably comes from the squalane that's in this formula. Squalane will always give you a slightly more oil-like finish to the skin. It's an excellent ingredient for the skin, and I personally don't mind a slightly oily finish to the skin. If you're someone who hates that, Ilia is not going to be the one for you, but if that's something that appeals to you, I think you will enjoy Ilia. Now both of these foundations do set. Ilia is just a little bit more tacky than the MAC. In terms of application, both were very, very easy to apply and very easy to blend. I barely had to put any work into it. I could apply with my fingers, I could apply with a brush. SPF, so Ilia has a whopping 40 SPF 40 for Ilia. That's quite huge. MAC doesn't have any SPF. I will say that sometimes I do find that the Ilia will give me that slight white cast, very, very slightly. However, I have done a flash photo test with Ilia and it doesn't show up on flash photography, which is interesting. Drying alcohols, none of these formulas have any drying alcohols that I could see. Fragrance, yes, MAC has some fragrance. Ilia doesn't have any fragrance. If you want to stay away from fragrance, Ilia is your best bet. For MAC, it does have orange peel oil. Level of cakiness is a good one. With MAC, I haven't experienced any cakiness whatsoever. With Ilia, I have sometimes seen a little bit of cakiness or maybe just a little bit of dryness over the areas that are dry for me, and that's generally around my mouth area. Here in winter in New Zealand, we're always in these heated air-conditioned environments, and the area around my mouth can sometimes get a bit dry, and so Ilia can sometimes look a little bit dry. But again, nothing concerning, nothing that makes me think that no, I don't like it, nothing like that. Now, settling into fine lines is a good one. For MAC, nothing. Maybe just very, very minimal settling, but really not much settling at all. The fine lines I have are really just around my mouth. Now, for Ilia, I do see quite a bit of settling around my laugh lines. And I think it's just that the formula sort of moves with your skin. So as I'm talking, I'm laughing throughout the day. Every time I pick up my mirror to touch up my lipstick, I notice there's quite a bit of settling on my laugh lines that I just smooth out with my finger. It is easy to smooth out, but if that is a deal breaker for you, just know that Ilia does tend to settle quite a bit. For dry patches, I generally have a dry patch on my forehead. I haven't noticed much clinginess for dry patches for either of these formulas, not the MAC and not Ilia either, so I'm really happy with both. With oily areas, I've put on there shiny at the 4-hour mark, which is about normal for me. So that is something that isn't excessive for me. So for my combination skin, I do generally see some oil come through at the 4-hour mark. Perfectly normal for me. I'm not bothered by that. In terms of large pores, I haven't had issues with either of these formulas in terms of large pores, which is amazing. Now, oxidization, nothing for Ilia. However, for MAC, I've tried MAC for 3 weeks. Towards the end of the day, I see that I have become darker at least by half a shade, at least, if not a little bit more. So, and that's the reason why I tend to prefer C3 over C4, is because by the time I've got this foundation on my face in that 6 to 8 hour mark, I will see some oxidization and the color will change on me just a little bit. Anyway, we will do a wear test and we'll see how this performs today by the end of the day. In terms of wear, both are really good. I can wear both for a full day and I don't really have any issues, apart from the MAC one where there is some oxidization. It's been 8 hours and I haven't blotted my skin. I haven't added any powder, and this is what my face looks like. It actually doesn't look so bad. Even though these formulas are more on the dewy side, I am not a total greaseball. Yes, I have a lot of shine across my forehead and my cheeks, but it doesn't really look bad. Now I'm just gonna go ahead and blot, and then I'm gonna come in a little bit closer. This is the Ilia side. And this is the MAC. So the Ilia side has settled into my laugh line more so than the MAC. Now Ilia also looks a little bit cakey in the dry parts of my face, which is this mouth area. It just looks a little bit, like not a lot at all, just a little bit cakey around here. And the MAC, not really. The MAC still looks pretty good. Now, what do you guys think in terms of oxidization? In the past, I felt like on some days MAC does look like it's oxidized, on other days it doesn't. So I can't quite firmly land on that. If you've got MAC face and body, please let us know in the comment section below. Do you find that it oxidizes? Overall, I really enjoyed both these skin tints. As you can see, they both have worn really well for an entire 8-hour day. I really don't have issues with anything. Let me know, what do you guys think of the two skin tints? Are you interested in trying them out, or have you tried them out? And let me know what your thoughts are. And I think if you had either of these, you'd probably be pretty happy. Of course, which one you end up picking really just depends on what type of finish you're after and what is it that you're actually looking for in a skin tint. And I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button, and of course, I'll see you next time. See ya.